God bless all of those that are faithfully striving to become more like Jesus Christ. This is Sister Liberty, and I'm back with another teaching for you. We are discussing this morning of pressing beyond the limits, overcoming you, striving to make it out of this life alive, because every day is a battle for the believer, for the Christian. And I believe that once we can grasp hold of that reality, accepting the fact that every day is a battle, respecting the fact that you and we were born in a war zone, then we can properly know how to get through this life. When we are aware that we are in a war, then we understand how we ought to engage the war, that we have to fight through the war, that we can't just run from it. We can't avoid it. We can't be discharged from it. But the man of God, the man of war, has to endure. The man of God has to fight through, because there is a day of graduation for those who overcome. Those who overcome, they can taste of the heavenly gifts. They can receive the promises. They can receive the treasures. They can have what Jesus promised in Revelation. And so you may be thinking, well, why become a Christian? Why be a Christian if things are so hard, if you have to fight, if every day is a battle? The reality is, whether you are a Christian or a non-Christian, whether you are a believer or an unbeliever, you still have to fight through this life, either way it goes, because you were born into the middle of a battlefield. You were born in the middle of a war zone. And so everybody is fighting. Everybody is fighting. The only difference is the man of God, he fights with God. God is the one fighting for him. God is the one teaching him how to war. God is the one equipping him. God is the one training him up, raising him up, teaching him how to get through this life. But the person outside of God, the person that is of the world, he doesn't know how to fight through the war. Most people, the war is defeating them. The war is killing them. The war is taking them out, because they don't understand how to effectively and properly make it through the war. You can't make it through this war without God. You need God. That's the reality. That's the truth. That's a part of this life, understanding that we need God. None of us asked to be here, but we are here. And as we are here, we have to learn how to fight through. And so for the believer, you're going to face adversity. You're going to face opposition. Jesus tells us in John, he says, in the world, you're going to have tribulation. You're going to go through things. You're going to face things. That shouldn't discourage you, but that should encourage you to know how to fight the right way. There is a right way to fight. There is a wrong way to fight. Paul tells us that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So the man of God is, well, he's at a disadvantage, but the man of God is at war, and he's constantly at war daily. He's not just at war with the things that are happening on the outside, the things in the world, but the man of God is at war within his own members. Paul says, where do fights and wars come from? He says they come from within your members. You are battling every single day as a man of God, as a woman of God, against your thoughts. You're fighting against the curses. You're fighting against the sin in your body, the mindsets in your body, the opinions, the desires, the temptations. The list goes on. The pride, the rebellion, the stubbornness, whatever thing lies within your blood, you are fighting against that. You are fighting to kill the flesh. You are fighting to kill this body wants to rebel. This flesh, it wants to go against God. It wants to be its own God. It wants to do its own thing. It wants to indulge in sin. It wants to indulge in evil, because our hearts are evil and deceitful above all things. And so the man of God is fighting against everything that is coming at it to overcome. Why does the man of God overcome? Because the man of God is aware that there is something greater. The man of God is aware that there is a way out of this life. There is a way of escape. Although I have to fight my way through, the rewards are greater. The rewards are worth it. The fight is worth it. Every day when we have to deny ourselves, every day when we have to strive to love, we have to strive to forgive, we have to strive to be more like God, we have to strive to take on the mind of Christ, we have to strive to be more patient. We have to strive to be more meek. We have to strive to be more humble. We have to strive to be more holy. We have to strive to be more righteous. We have to strive to be more like God in order for us to dwell like God. And that is a daily battle, because you are fighting against your soul, your flesh that hates God. It doesn't want to put forth the effort. It wants to be lazy. It wants to play victim. It wants to feel justified as to why it should indulge in sin and why you did that over there and why you said that. It wants to feel justified. It wants to get away with murder. It wants to do things. And you and I, we have to fight against that every single day, every day. Because in us dwells no good thing. That's why we need the Holy Spirit to live on the inside of us. Because God is good, then he makes us good. We are not good outside of God. It doesn't matter what you think about yourself. Anyone who thinks of themselves to be good outside of God is a dangerous person, because they live according to their own standards and according to what they believe is good and what they consider to be right. That's a dangerous thing, because we don't want to assume that we are right in our own eyes, because we could be wrong. We could be wrong. And if it's outside of God, you are wrong. Let God be true and every man a lie. So we need God. We need his spirit. We need his guidance through life. He is like that GPS. He is like the navigator where he guides us through life. He is the best driver. He knows how to get through life. He's like that map, and he knows the perfect route. Jesus says that the path to eternal life, it is straight and narrow, and few be that find it. Most people are not going to find themselves on this path, because most people want to be on their own journey. They want to figure things out on their own. They want to try to fight this life on their own. And most people can't even fathom the simple fact that the fight that we all are fighting isn't a physical one. It isn't up against the people that you can physically see. Sometimes we can think that our issues are people. We can think and we can believe that our issues are people, that our issues are things, that our issue is God. We can think that. We can think that what we see physically is the problem. And we need to respect the fact that everything that we see physically with our physical eyes, it comes from what we cannot see in the spirit. And so understanding the war that we are in, it properly positions you to know how to fight through the war so that you can make it through. You can make it through. There is a way out. You can press through. You can overcome, but that requires your participation. That requires your effort. That requires you playing your role and understanding your role as a son of God. That's not to discourage you and say, well, you know, I have problems in the world. I guess I am better off being in the world. You'll have worse problems if you stay in the world, and you will live as a defeated human. You will always find yourself in a place of defeat, trying to maneuver your way throughout life, trying to learn how to fight, but fighting the right way. You need God to learn how to fight the right way. You need God to make it out alive so that you can be promoted into the next life. We all like promotion. Everybody likes promotion, but understanding that, you know, with promotion, you know, it comes with opposition sometimes. It comes with adversity sometimes, not all the time, you know, not all the time, but do know with to whom much is given, much is required. So we all like promotion. Promotion is nice, but it comes at a cost. In order for you to be promoted, in order for you to be given this new role or this new position, you have to have put forth the right amount of effort to be given such a honorable role, an honorable place, an honorable transition. So I think about school. So that's why I mentioned graduation day is for those who overcome. So when we think about graduation is a big day. It is a big time of the year, especially for those that are graduating from high school, because you have graduation in elementary, you have graduation in middle school, but high school is such a big accomplishment because you've gone through 12 grade levels. And you face many different opposition. You face peer pressure. You face opposition. You face discouragement. Maybe you failed some tests. Maybe you were bullied. Maybe you were behind. Maybe you were missing credits. And so to make it all the way to the end, because most people who started in your class, maybe in your 9th grade year, it was this amount of freshmen. Maybe it started off with 2,500 freshmen, and by the time, or let's say 3,000 freshmen, let's say it started off with 3,000 freshmen, and as you all transition into your 10th grade year and your 11th grade year, that number began to decrease. And so by the time it was graduation day, it went from 3,000 to maybe about 2,000, because the reality is everybody that starts does not always finish. And sometimes that can be discouraging. Sometimes that can make you feel as though, well, maybe this is not possible to do because everybody that I started with didn't finish. But then you have those that are just willing on the inside, meaning they're not going to let anything stop them. They're not going to let anything get in their way. They're not going to allow the opposition. They're not going to allow the temptations of this time in high school keep them back, because they understand, no, I've come too far. I've worked so hard. I've already invested so much just to let this all slip away, just to let this all crumble to the ground. I've come too far. And so they have it in their mind. They're the ones that are devoted. They're the ones that are committed. They're the ones that are self-driven, meaning they push themselves. The man of God, the son of God, the man of war has to push himself even when you are tired. Because I tell you, my last year in high school was a very challenging one, being that I was behind. And I told myself, man, you want to get one chance. You want to get one shot. That's not to say that you can't go back and go to school, but who wants to do that? Who wants to repeat a grade? Who wants to take summer school? Who wants to go back to school 5 years later, 10 years later? You don't. And the reality is most people don't. And so you want to make it through the first time around. You want to make it in. You want to be promoted on this day because this is a special day. And so you're willing to put in the effort. You're willing to lose sleep. You're willing to do whatever projects, whatever extra credit you can get to meet the requirements for this day, because this day is a special day. You may have family that's coming, other people who know that you're in their graduating class. They are expected to see you, or they're hoping to see you, because it's shameful when everyone is walking across the stage and they're receiving a diploma, but you're not. At some point, they made it to where, so that nobody was left out, so that nobody felt bad, they made it to where at some point they stopped giving, I forgot how they do it, but there was a point in time where they would just give this piece of paper and they let everyone walk so that no one felt left out. And although everybody got a piece of paper, everybody did not receive a diploma. Everybody didn't receive a diploma. Some people received a certificate of completion, but you wouldn't know because everybody has a balled up paper or wrote the paper, so you don't know who got what. But just so that it was fair, they let everybody walk. But it's embarrassing to know that you invested all of this time. You played around, you were lazy. You had days where you just did not want to put forth the effort. You had days where you just did not want to give yourself in that way. And so now the day is coming, because respect the fact that day is coming. That day where we will have to stand before God. That day is approaching. That day is coming. Eventually it is going to come, just like graduation day. Like, I know we're only halfway through the year, but eventually that day is going to come. And you have to decide between then or now and then, how you are going to prepare yourself for this day, because whether you're ready or not, that day is going to approach. Whether you are prepared, that day is going to approach. That day is coming. It's scheduled to come. I believe in the book of Acts, it talks about how there is a day scheduled for the world. Let me go there real quick. There is a day scheduled. There's a day appointed for the whole world. This world is going to pass away. Heaven and earth is going to pass away. But Jesus says that his word, it will never pass away. It's not going to ever pass away. So I found it, I believe, Acts 17, verse 30. It says, in the times of this ignorance, God winks at, but now commands all men everywhere to repent, because he has appointed a day in the which he shall judge the world in righteousness by the man whom he has ordained. So there's a day appointed. We don't know when that day is going to be. Jesus doesn't even know. He says it's going to be at the Father's choosing, but he's coming back. There is a day appointed. It's already been scheduled. So it's already made. It just hasn't come yet. And so we have to be prepared. We have to be ready. I cannot think that just because I'm not ready, God will delay his coming. He calls that a wicked and a slothful servant, a foolish servant who thinks that way. So I can't assume just because I'm behind, just because I went through things, my senior year, things got hard, I wasn't able to come on certain days, so that pushed me behind. Just because life happens, it does not mean that they'll change the graduation date. It does not mean that they'll make adjustments. Maybe, the guidance counselor may work with you, but you are still required to put forth the same amount of effort. Why? Because you're not the only one going through things. You're not the only one fighting. You're not the only one that has life going on and life happening. You have to put forth effort. And as you do, as you are one who's willing to fight, in spite of the adversity that you may have gone through, and adversity is good for the man of God because it shapes, it molds, it strengthens, it trains you. It teaches you that if you can overcome this, then nothing shall be impossible for the man of God. When his mind is stayed on the Lord and he's willing to press, he's willing to fight, he's willing to overcome, he's willing to go all the way with the Lord. He's willing. Nothing is going to be impossible for him. And so as you are that willing vessel and you are pressing and you are fighting through and you are overcoming you're getting over you're pressing in, you're striving, you're plowing through. Then when that day comes, because it's coming, oh, what a glorious day it will be for you, because graduation isn't just you going forward. It's promotion. Graduation is promotion. It's saying that this person here has gone through some stuff, because being in school for 12 years is not easy. Most people, that's a long time. 12 years of all kinds of things, depending on what school you went to and how that was. It can be hard. Most do not make it. You're all excited at first. You make it to kindergarten or first grade and you're just excited. You're enthusiastic. You're pumped up. You're motivated. You see all of your friends and you feel as though this is something that you can do every year. You're willing to go the long haul. But I'm telling you, when that opposition comes, that adversity comes, it can be hard. Yeah. So graduation is a special day because it is for those who overcame. No, you have proven that you can comprehend. You have proven that you are an overcomer. You have proven that you are more than a conqueror. You have proven that the things throughout the school year could not keep you down. It could not move you out of the way. It couldn't slow you down, because although you went through this, although you lost a family member, you lost your mom, you lost your dad, your mom got evicted, you all got kicked out, you had to move, you had this sudden thing happen in your life. Although you went through some things, you pressed through. You made it through. You fought through. that should have broke you. That should have destroyed you, but you plowed through. You made it. Yeah. You applied pressure in the most critical times because you were a willing person, because you were aware, no, this day is approaching, this day is coming, and it's worth the war. You have to respect the fact that your eternity is worth the war. It's worth it every single day, not just one day out of the week. The man of God goes through a battle every day because our adversary, the enemy, he is as a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. And he's going to come after the weaker links first. He's going to tackle. He's going to attack. He's going to come for the weaker ones, the weak-minded, the victim's mentality, those who feel entitled to things, those who feel obligated and feel like God owes them. He's coming for them. He's coming after your emotions. He's coming after your feelings. Yeah. So the man of God has to respect that his eternity, his permanent promotion into eternal life with the Father is worth the war. It is worth the battle. It is worth the tears. It is worth the pressure. It is worth the adversity. It is worth the turbulence in this life. It is all worth it because all of this, God is working out for my good. And so if God is allowing me to go through it, then he's doing a stretching. He's doing a pressing. He's doing a shaping. He's doing a molding. God is making me. And because I've had so much of the world on me, he has to get that off because I cannot enter in this condition. And so whatever it takes, we're not asking God to do whatever it takes, but God knows what it takes necessary to make this person into who he is calling them to be. So some people are going to have to go through specific things. If this person doesn't go through this specific thing right here, they're not going to have the faith that's needed to keep going. They're not going to have the stamina. They're not going to have the strength. They're not going to have the insight and the foresight. They're not going to have the mindset. They're not going to have the understanding. They're not going to have the wisdom. They're not going to have the stability. This person needs to go through this over here. And as you're going through that, as you are fighting, God is right there with you. He's not left you. He's right there. Yeah, he's right there. So it's critical that the man of God lives a life of an overcomer. You cannot be an overcomer unless you are overcoming things and them not overcoming you. You're overcoming it. You're getting through it. You're fighting through it. You're facing it. You're not running away because of fear. Most people, they leave the faith. You know, they start this walk kind of like school, and because things get hard. And again, this is a natural concept of people starting things and not finishing simply because it gets hard or the pressures get too much for them. The adversity, it gets too much. The opposition, it becomes too much. And so because of fear, because of pride, because of entitlement, because of a victim's mentality, people quit. They walk away. It's just, sometimes it's just easier to quit rather than putting forth effort, rather than putting in the work, rather than getting over yourself, rather than pushing yourself to the limit or beyond the limits, I should say, because there are boundaries, there are limits, but the Son of God has to exceed. Jesus says, if your righteousness does not exceed, that means go beyond. If it does not exceed the righteousness of the Pharisees and the Sadducees, then you can in no wise enter in. So the Son of God, the man of war, has to exceed the limitations of its world. No, the world is only willing to go but so far. The world decides when they've had enough. But the man of God, because he was born for adversity, a son is born for adversity because he was born for this, because he was born for war. He was made for war. Then he has to exceed the limitations of his world. And knowing that he can excel, knowing that he can rise above, knowing that he can go above the boundaries that's set for him. Your world and the enemy is trying to condition you to not go beyond those boundaries, not go beyond those limits, making you feel as though, well, the road stops here. making you feel as though you have to accept the conditions of your world. You have to accept the curses. You have to accept the cycles that your parents walked in and your ancestors walked in. You have to accept the addictions. Your parents walked in these addictions. Your parents walked in these ways, making you feel as though you just have to accept it and learn how to maneuver your way through life like they did. But the man of God has to know that we're called to higher heights and higher depths. We're called to greater. We have power on the inside of us. We have power. Yeah, the same power that conquered the grave lives in us. Jesus says, greater works shall we do than he did. There's a power on the inside of the man of God. There's a power on the inside of the woman of God that the world does not have. The world can't overcome sin. I used to believe that it was impossible to not sin until I met God. Until I met God and until he gave me power. He will give you power over sin. He will give you power over the curses that are in your bloodline, the curses that are dingling over your life, the curses that have been controlling those in your family, controlling you. He will give you power for those things to be broken. He will give you power to say no to drugs, to say no to sin, to say no to the devil, to say no to the world. He'll give you power to be free and to stay free and to remain free. He'll give you that power. He'll give you that power. He puts that power on the inside. The man of God has authority in his world. Yeah, he has authority over his atmosphere. He has power in his mouth. Death and life is in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. The man of war, he understands that he's equipped. God has not set him in the midst of this war empty-handed. God didn't set him in the midst of this war for him to fail. If I am walking with God, if I am doing things with God, if I am following after the heart of God, then I cannot fail. I will not fail. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. That's what John says. He says this in 1 John chapter 4, verse 4. You are of God, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. They are of the world. They are of the world. Therefore speak they of the world, and the world hears them. We are of God. He that knows God hears us. He that is not of God hears not us. Hereby know we the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. And then he says, beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God. And everyone that loves is born of God and knows God. He that loves not knows not God, for God is love. So the world doesn't hear truth. The world doesn't want truth. It cannot receive it. It does not want the truth. But everyone that can hears the truth and wants the truth, they are of God. They are of us. We need to know that. He talks about overcoming the world. Overcoming the world is a big thing. Matter of fact, if we jump over to 1 John chapter 5, verse 4, it says, for whosoever is born of God overcomes the world. Kind of like what he said back in 1 John chapter 4, verse 4. And this is the victory that overcame the world, even our faith. Who is he that overcomes the world? But he that believes that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. You cannot overcome your world. You cannot make it out of the war alive. You cannot defeat the enemy if you do not have faith in Jesus Christ. You have to be born again. You have to be born of God. Being born of God means that you belong to God. You belong to God. Yeah, you are now God's. And as you are now God's, then he makes you to become more like him. Your mind is renewed. Your heart is transformed. You no longer like the things of the world. You cannot defeat the world if you are still in the world. You cannot defeat the world. So it is true that a house divided against itself cannot stand. You cannot defeat the world. It doesn't matter what you think. Maybe you are doing witchcraft, or you're into witchcraft and you've learned different spiritual things. Maybe you got garlic in your house to fight off unclean spirits. Maybe you have candles. Maybe you burn sage because you are sensitive enough, or you are aware enough that there are spiritual things. And so you don't want to serve God. You don't want to commit to God, but you are doing spiritual things to fight off evil spirits, to fight off bad energy and evil. You're doing those things. That is demonic, and you can't win that way. You can't win that way. You can't. You cannot overcome the world if you are still in the world. You have to first leave the world. You have to get out of the world. And then he can teach you how to overcome your world. But as long as you are friends with the world, as long as you remain in the world, then you cannot and you will not overcome it. It will overcome you. And that's most people's story, is that the world overcame them. When they stand before God on that day, everybody is not being promoted. Everybody is not getting a diploma. Some people is not even getting a certificate of completion, because that just means you completed the course. Some people are not so nobody's gonna make it to heaven by mistake or by accident. Everybody that's going to be there, they fought to get there. They strive to get there. They pressed, they overcame. That's why Jesus says, to him who overcomes, I will give him the tree of life. To him who overcomes, he will not be hurt by the second death. To him who overcomes, I will give him of that hidden manna. To him who overcomes, I'll give him a stone with a new name that no one knows. Yeah. To him who overcomes, he'll get these things. He'll have all things. He'll inherit all things. The meek will inherit the earth. You can't obtain these things if you are not running the race and you finish the race. Just because you showed up to the track meet, just because you started at the starting point, it doesn't mean anything unless you finish. The man of God is running a race. This is a race throughout life, and we have to finish. There are things that will try to slow you down, throw off your footing, get you out of the race, get you to feel as though it's too much, it's too hard. The devil wants you to think and wants you to believe that it is too hard. Listen, it was harder in the world than it was in the faith, or it is harder in the world than it is in the faith. Because in the faith, when I go through things, I know that God is with me. I know that it's God that's guiding my life. I know that it's God who will not allow me to suffer more than I'm able. I know that it is God who is making all things work together for my good. And so if God is taking me through it, then he must see fit that I go through this. There's a reason why he's allowing me to go through this. What is God trying to stretch? What is God trying to purge? What is God trying to refine? What is God trying to sanctify? I need to not abort the process, but I need to embrace it and accept it and go through it, because once I overcome this, then I will come out like gold. Once I go through the fire, then I will be transformed from that wood to that gold. And I'll be able to look back and know that, man, it was worth it. Matter of fact, the word of God says that the former things are going to be passed away. You're not even going to remember the sufferings of this life, the things that you had to face, the adversity, the opposition, the pressures of this life, the stress of this life, the hostility of this life. You're not even going to remember it. Yeah, you're not going to remember that day when you were struggling, fighting in your mind, fighting in your heart what you wanted and whether or not it was worth it. You're not going to remember that day where you felt hopeless. You're not going to remember that day where you felt alone. You're not going to remember that time where everybody left you and that person lied on you, that person stabbed you in the back. You're not going to remember those things. The former things will have been passed away. So it's not even going to be worth it in the end. That's why we can't let the things of this life cost us our eternal life. You can't forfeit your eternity for a bowl of soup, in other words, for a moment of pleasure. You have to know that the devil is after your life. I don't know what you think. I don't know if you don't believe in the devil. I don't know if you don't believe in evil. It doesn't even matter. You cannot believe in it. You cannot believe in gravity. But if you jump off a building, gravity is not going to say, oh, well, hold on, let's stop holding up. Or, let's hold up this person because they don't believe. No, gravity is not going to change because you don't believe in it. The reality is the devil, Satan, he comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And that is what he is doing to those that are in the world. He is destroying their lives with all kinds of things in all kinds of ways. He's subtle. The devil is subtle. He'll keep you in that bondage. He'll keep you being an addict. He'll keep you a slave to your own emotions, to your own sin, your own temptations. He'll keep you, making you feel as though there aren't any boundaries to overcome, making you feel as though there's no hope for you. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no way of escape. There's no way out. Yeah, he'll make you feel like that. He'll make you feel like you're trapped. He'll make you feel as though, well, I guess I'll just lay down and die. No, the man of God has to fight. You have to fight through every single day, and you have to love the word. You have to love it because you were built for it. When I love what I do, then I can do it the right way. No, this is what I do every day because I love it. I was born for this. I was made for this. So you're more willing when you love it. When you don't love your job and you have a job, you don't want to go. You don't want to be there. So you will show up late. You will call off. You will come back from your breaks, when you're not supposed to. You have a 15-minute, but you took 20 minutes or you took 25 minutes because you really don't want to be there. To you, it's just a paycheck. The man of God can't look at his job because he is a soldier. He cannot look at his job as a burden. He has to look at his job as a part of who he is. No, this is who I am. I am a soldier. I am a warrior for Christ. This is who I am. And I love my job. When I love my job, I'm going to put forth the right amount of effort. When I love my job, I'm going to be more willing. When I love my job, I'm going to be more zealous. Is that how you say it? I always get the words mixed up. Zealous. I don't know. You're going to be more passionate. You're going to be more self-driven. There's going to be a fire on the inside that burns like Jeremiah to where you can't stop what the Spirit of God is doing on the inside. The Spirit of God is doing a work and you can't suppress it. You can't put it out. You can't quench it. It's just in you to plow through. It's just in you to fight through. Yeah, even when you feel like you've had enough today, man, I feel like today is just one of those days. I feel cast down. I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I can't go. I can't press. I can't fight. I feel like there's nothing left in me. And there's a fire on the inside that isn't gone. Maybe it's doing a little bit, but it's still burning on the inside. And all of a sudden, you just have this strength that came out of nowhere to just keep going. No, I'm not going to give up. I've come too far. I've come too far to quit. I've come too far to leave. I've come too far to let the enemy win, to let the enemy win this battle, to let the enemy win this war. I've come too far. Oh no, I've not had enough yet because God built me to endure. God built the man of war to endure and to last. He's making a people that's durable. That's why he takes us through things, because he has to stretch us and mold us. He has to shape us to be durable, to be long lasting, everlasting. Yeah. So you can go through these things and you can overcome. And the more you overcome, the more you obey, the more you are faithful, the easier things will get. It'll get easier. Although it'll seem like the adversity is becoming stronger and aggressive, but it'll get easier because you would have already gone through these things before. You've already, fought other battles and fought other wars. And so here you are facing another battle, and you have to maintain that mindset. No, I got through the last one I thought was going to be so hard, or I thought was going to be too impossible. I got through that. And so if God got me through that, then he can get me through this. Yeah. If God got me through that, then he can get me through this. This is the life of the Son of God, and he has to love it. It's worth it. Every single day is worth it. It's worth the fight. It's worth the war, knowing that the rewards are going to be greater. Yeah. Paul says that the sufferings of this life are not worthy to be compared to the glory that's going to be revealed in the life to come. Everything that you would have gone through, there's no comparison compared to the next life. Like what we're going through here is nothing compared to what we're going to have. We're going to look back and think like, wow, like I would have never known that this was awaiting me. I would have never known that I had this. I almost missed this. I almost dropped out of the race. I almost felt like this was just too hard and that I was just unwilling to strive, to try to keep going. I was unwilling to put forth the effort, but that fire that was burning on the inside of me, it just would not let me quit. It just would not let me throw in the towel. It just would not let me give up and give in. And so I persevered. I pressed my way through. I overcame. I denied myself. And on graduation day, you will be among those who hear the words, well done, my good and faithful servant. Those are graduating words for the graduating class. Well done, my good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your Lord. Enter into the rest of your Lord. Yeah. That's some promotion. That's some promotion. You defeated life. You fought through life. You overcame life. That is some promotion, because most people are not making it out alive. Most people are not defeating life. Life is beating them up. But the man of God, that's a glorious day. That's something to look forward to. That should excite you, knowing that the sufferings of this life cannot be compared to what's awaiting you, what's coming. There's no comparison. There really isn't. So the man of God has something to look forward to. The world, they don't have anything to look forward to. They don't have hope in God. They have hope in things that are going to fail them. They have hope in things that are temporary. But the man of God, his hope is in Jesus Christ, and hope anchors the soul. Yeah, he keeps me stable. He keeps me still. He keeps me at peace. He keeps me sound in my mind. He doesn't allow me to lose my mind. He gives me my mind. He keeps my mind. It is him. It is him. So the man of God, he has hope that anchors the soul. He has something to look forward to day to day, knowing that Jesus Christ is still on the throne. So it doesn't matter what's happening around me. First off, I can't live by what I see and how I feel, because everything that I see and feel isn't always what it seems to be. So I can't be governed by my emotions and my feelings. At the end of the day, as long as Jesus Christ is on the throne, then all is well. Nothing else matters, because I know he's the one in control. I know that he's right here with me. He's not left me. He's not forsaken me. Yeah. Even when it seems like he's silenced, his silence doesn't mean that he's absent. He's right there. No, God is right here with me. He says that he will never leave me nor forsake me. He's right here. His spirit is right here. His presence is right here. Yeah, I feel him. I'm aware of him. I know that he's right here. So we press, we strive, we overcome. You cannot be an overcomer if you are not overcoming the things of this life. You are built and designed. What seems hard really isn't as hard once you put forth the effort. That test that you felt like was impossible to pass, once you put forth effort, once you put your mind to actually doing it, then you realize it wasn't that bad. And then you passed. You passed. Yeah, you made it all through 12 years to graduation day. And once you got there, you know, that day came so fast. What seemed so far away came so quick, because once it came, it was like, wow, it came that quick. Yeah, graduation day came so fast. It seemed like a lifetime. Some of you all, you know what I mean? If you went to high school for those amount of years and you finished and you were in 9th grade, then 10th, it seemed like a lifetime. But when that day came, it was like, wow, so this is it, y'all. So we're going on our separate paths. We're going on our separate ways. And, you know, you have those emotions and the nostalgia, just all of these different things. And you realize, wow, this day came so quick. Like, it's really here. Yeah, it's here. You made it. You made it this far. And so there's so much to be grateful for. There's so much to be thankful for. There's so much to enjoy in that moment, knowing that, man, you've accomplished so much. That's why graduation is a big deal, because it proves that this person can go through some things and overcome. This person can face things and stand. This is not just the fact that you completed 12th grade. This is the fact that you went through things and you overcame. You persevered, because not everybody can be in this position. Not everybody can stand at the end and say, no, I fought through. Now, no, I made it through. And so it's going to be that way when we stand before God and he says, well done. The most precious words in all of existence. Well done, my good and my faithful servant. You were good. Yeah, you strived. You pressed. And you were faithful. You did not let that circumstance take you out of the way. You didn't let that situation over there cause you to walk away. You didn't let that fiery trial, your time in the wilderness, you didn't let that keep you back. You didn't let that limit you. You didn't let that make you feel as though you couldn't overcome. You didn't let that make you feel as though you might as well just quit now while you can. Yeah, you overcame. You are an overcomer. You are a victor. Yeah, that has to be the Christian's life. This has to be our lives. It has to be said that Jesus was first in our lives and that we overcame. Jesus has to be first. If Jesus is first in my life, I cannot go wrong. I cannot fail because he's the one leading me. He's first. He's priority. He's the focus. Jesus has to be your focus. If Jesus is not your focus, then you can't expect to be successful in this life. Real success is overcoming this life. That is real success. Real success isn't having a 5-year plan. Real success isn't having a 401k started up for yourself. Real success isn't starting a business and putting something away for your children to inherit. Real success is making it out of this life alive. You have to make it out alive. Most don't, but you have to decide that you will, because there have been those that have started where we are. Just like in graduation or just like in school, there have been those that started where you were. They were right there. Now they're teaching you. They were right there. And they plowed through, they pressed through, and they finished. They got to walk across the stage in honor. To walk, that's honorable. No, you get to walk. You get to hold hands with the principal who you never really talked to throughout the rest of the school year. But anyways, yeah, you get the honor of walking across the stage. That's an honor. Yeah. So there are those who started and they finished, and we have records. We have 66 books of records of testimonies of the lives of people who overcame, and they went through some stuff. Some of them were persecuted. Some of them were afflicted, beat, attacked, all kinds of things. They went through some stuff. They did. Many of us have not even come close to experiencing anything that they've experienced. They went through some stuff. Paul, Jesus, the apostles, they went through some stuff. King David, he went through some stuff. I'm not saying he didn't make bad decisions, but he went through some stuff. Abraham, he went through some stuff. Moses, he went through some stuff. Noah, he went through some stuff. Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah, they went through some stuff. Daniel, they went through some stuff. Hosea, okay, went through some stuff. Nehemiah went through some stuff. Job, the list goes on, went through some stuff. And they had to overcome. They had to plow through. And so if they can do it, we can do it. We don't have any excuse. We have 66 books. We have references. We have record of men and women of God who overcame. Rahab, Ruth. Okay, they had to plow through. They had to overcome. Mary, the mother of Jesus. Okay, her own son. She had to overcome some things, and she did. And so we can too, because the same power that was on the inside of them is now on the inside of us. And so the man of God, we don't have any excuse. With God, all things are possible. With men, it is impossible. And so you can indeed do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Yeah, that's for the believer. It's not for anyone to just take and feel motivated. That is for the believer. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Yes. In Jesus' name, God bless you.